it was launched, yes, on Sunday morning, fairly early on. Uh, what happened is after about an hour and 45 minutes, the normal um, signal that they send saying they're okay, which is done in an extraordinary way. It's done with basically a ping on a sonar set, and they're able to send text messages that way, and they've heard nothing since. This vessel should take about, it drops at about 50 meters a minute, and it should have taken about 2.5 hours to get down to the Titanic. The problem is, since it was last spoke and said it was okay, we've heard nothing, and that's the problem. So nobody really knows where it is. Is it down on the bottom? Is it wrapped up with the Titanic somewhere? Is it on the surface wallowing? Is it halfway down with power gone? Nobody really knows, and that's the problem. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. One of the things that's important is that there's no distress signal. Most submarines have some form of distress signal, which would, at least allow people ashore to know that there was where they were and their location. We don't have that at the moment, unfortunately, which means that searching for it is being done by the air, by Canadian and American aeroplanes with sonar buoys trying to find this 22-foot long, 10,000 ton small submarine. And with no distress signal and nothing else, they just got to keep looking for it.
The other thing that surprised me, because it was sort of released, wasn't it, on Sunday? Why is there not a sort of I don't know, a ship that sits above it nearby? Because now we're being told it's going to take, a day or so for any sort of support or rescue vessel to get there. But given that it's not a full-blown submarine, it's sort of being able to travel on its own, why is there not sort of always a ship at the surface or something, just in case something goes wrong?
Well, the mothership is there, and that's where it launched from. Yeah. And since then, since first thing this morning, in fact, about now, 2 further ships have arrived on scene. The trouble is they're on the scene where they launched it. They don't know where the submarines moved to. And one of the problems in that area is that you've got the Labrador current coming down from the Arctic and Canada, and that mixes with the Gulf Stream coming up from Florida, and you end up with all sorts of different currents and eddies and so forth. So there's no real prediction about where it would have gone. It's not going with the prevailing stream, for example. So we don't really know where it is. And that's the first problem. You've got to find it, first of all. And that there's no umbilical cord from the mothership all the way down. To do that on a thing that's going down to 12,000 feet is just not possible, really. So it's an autonomous vehicle. It's got two thrusters. It's got sonar. It's got various bits and pieces. But my view is that I think it's had some sort of major power failure, and all its systems are unfortunately not working properly. I'm sort of being the optimist. I'd like to think that they've managed to get it up to the surface and it's wallowing around in the Atlantic with aircraft trying to find it. But, we don't know.
And is this the sort of thing which makes we should think twice about these sorts of tours? These, it's obviously incredibly wealthy people, but they're taking part in these sorts of tours. Or is this actually what happens when you try new technology, conquering new frontiers and so on? It is incredibly risky, but people know it's a risk, and that's part of why they do it.
A bit of both. First of all, you've got the people who are on board are all they've had this on their bucket list for ages, and they're adventurers. And when you see what Hamish has done over the years, it's amazing. And so that's one of the problems. So yes, there is. They must know that they're taking a risk. This is a very small submarine, and it's actually, yes, it's relatively highly sophisticated, but perhaps not as sophisticated as it could be. And we don't know the details of that. But anybody who goes exploring, and I think you would class it as an explorer, when you go back to Jacques Cousteau and what he did and so forth, it's that same sort of thing, really. So I don't think realistically you can blame them for going. I'd like to think that the company that runs it knew what they were doing.